Hello traders, welcome to my Forex Funds YouTube channel. For those who don't know, my Forex Funds is a platform which is looking for successful traders. It assists traders and it helps them grow so that we can grow together. Today in this video, we will be hosting one of our funded traders, Tyler, to talk about his trading journey and his experiences with us as a funded trader. Hello, welcome to my Forex Funds interview. It's great to see you here.
Oh, good. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. That's our pleasure. Well, I usually divide our interviews into three sections. In the first part, we kind of get to know you a little bit. And in the second one, we are more like talking about your trading journey, your trading style and strategy. And in the last part, yeah, we will kind of talk about the advice you can give to new traders. So if you're ready, we can start with the first part.
Let's do it.
Okay, then. So please just give us an overview about yourself, like who you are, where you live in, and what your hobbies are.
Sure. My name's Tyler Gabor, 26 years old, about to turn 27. I'm based out of Baltimore, Maryland, but I've been traveling a lot lately, I have a wife and a little baby girl, 15 months old, and I have one on the way due in March.
Hmm.
So we just been
How
kind of
nice.
traveling around as a family, having fun.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my hobbies, I don't really. I guess it's different now that I'm a dad because it's my
Yeah.
hobbies are either trading or being just a family man and being there with my family doing fun things. Traveling is definitely a hobby of mine and my family's.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, I'm just working on creating a website, Vant Trading. It's just something I'm going to use just to help create, a community of, mentorship and live trading and stuff just to help people out because I know how
Oh.
tough it is to trade. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just that's really it. It's trading and family. It's my life. It's what I
Mm-hmm.
do. It's what I enjoy. It's what I'm passionate about, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're a full-time dad and a trader.
That's right. Full-time dad, full-time day trader. So
Uh, yeah, perfect. And you are just designing a website to teach how to trade to people?
yeah, exactly. So I my so we have a family hedge fund. My father and brother worked on Wall Street as traders, and so it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
in the family. And we're creating a website that's going to be a combination of mentorship and live trading, just to help people out in the trading world because we know how tough it is because we've been there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Wow, that's
hopefully then we
cool.
can create a path to where we help people out and push them
Uh-huh.
towards the funded route. So it'd be kind of work out well.
Wow, cool. I like it. Yeah. So, let me ask how your interest in trading developed. I mean, what got you into it in the first place?
Yeah, like I mentioned, my whole family, it's like family background as far as
Mm-hmm.
trading. So my dad worked in Wall Street with First Years and Lehman Brothers. My
Mm-hmm.
brother worked on the Wall Street for S&P Capital. So definitely a family business. And then out of high school, I took some finance classes, some stock classes, and it
Mm-hmm.
piqued my interest. And I already had piqued my interest knowing that was a family history type of thing. So I just kind of started with it, looking at different types of markets, different asset classes, and kind of just it vibed with me really well. I liked the way you were challenged every day. It is something that you could work towards. There's never really like a ceiling with trading. It's not like you have a 9 to 5 to where you can only make a certain amount, then you work your way up the ladder. Trading's unlimited potential, right? So
Yeah.
that's something that I liked as well. I have that entrepreneurial background and spirit, so it's something that I worked really well with my personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're so lucky because you have a family member who also trades. Actually, have a family members, right? Your brother
Yes,
and your father.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Perfect. So, you know that sometimes the process can be very challenging for some people who don't have anything, who don't know anything about trading. It was like trial and error, but you are lucky. So, can we say that your father and your brother be your mentor at the beginning of this journey?
Yes, it was funny. So yes and no. So yeah, they were definitely there as
Mm-hmm.
mentors to help me, but they wanted me to find my own path because it's
Mm-hmm.
like so trading's not like a one size fits all type of job, I guess. So, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like every path is going to be a little different for every trader. and every result's going to be a little different. Every trading strategy will be a little different. So they kind of were there to like guide me a little bit, as you know, you could find guidance and mentorship, you could find guidance in YouTube videos or whatever it might be. So they were there to guide me, but I almost had to create my own path in trading as far as what fit my personality, because everyone has different personality, different characteristics. So depending on what that is, you want to figure out what market and what trading style best suits you. So they were definitely there to help, I guess, keep me in line and guide me one way or the other if I had questions. But it was more or less something I had to do trial and error and figure out what fit me the best.
Okay, please go ahead and give us some overview about your routine in trading. For example, you can kindly mention the sessions you trade or time frames you check.
Yeah, sure. So I trade the New York session. And so basically what I do is my routine is I'll hop on the charts around 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. And what I'll do first is I'll take a look at what news events we have for the day. Do we have any red folder events? Do we have any type of planned economic events I have to keep an eye out for during my trading session? And then 7 o'clock, I actually stream live on YouTube on my YouTube channel. So 7 o'clock, then I'll get on my YouTube channel and stream live. And so that's 7 a.m. Eastern. Then what I basically trade is I'll start looking at the whole market overall and kind of go down my list. So I'll start analyzing what the dollar is doing, the dollar index, because the dollar index moves basically everything right now. As far as you have to understand what the fundamentals are and what's moving the markets right now. And the dollar index is moving the equity markets. It's moving the metals. It's moving the currencies because of inflation, the Fed, the interest rate hikes. So the Dixie is the main driver as far as fundamentals right now for what I look at. So I'll look at what's my analysis for the dollar for the day. Then I'll go to equities. You know, what's my analysis on the S&P 500 for the day? You know, because then based off of those two, I do trade. So what I trade is I'll trade the US 30 or the NASDAQ. And then I also will trade gold. So the gold and analyze what gold's doing. And typically gold is inverse of the dollar because the gold is priced in dollars. And so it's gold versus the dollar. So then I'll look at gold. What's gold doing? I'll get my analysis for gold. Then I'll hop to oil because I trade oil as well. And then I'll see, you know, what's oil doing. And again, oil is going to be inverse of the dollar as well. It's priced in dollars. And then I will look at GBP, JPY, the pound yen. And that's the only currency I trade right now. I used to be a lot more heavily involved in Forex itself, but pound yen is the only currency I use. I've kind of gravitated towards faster moving assets like the equities and gold and oil. So then I look at pound yen. And basically what I do when I go through my top-down analysis is I'll look at the monthly chart. And I only look at the monthly chart on Mondays, the start of each week, because it's unnecessary to look at it every day because it's unlikely that the monthly chart's moving that much. Then I'll look at the weekly chart. You know, what did last week do? What did this week do? Is there any type of levels I have to keep an eye out for? Are we pushing bullish or bearish on the weekly chart? Then I hop to the daily chart, right? Just kind of go down my time frames. What's the daily chart doing? Do we have to keep an eye on any type of, you know, did we create a bottom liquidity wick yet? A top liquidity wick? Are we pushing bullish, bearish? Is there any daily support and resistance levels that were near? Any hold numbers that I have to keep an eye out for? Then I'll, you know, hop down the 4 hour, then the 1 hour. And what I do is I find the 1 hour as far as directional bias. You know, am I looking for buys or sells for the day? And then I'll hop down to the 30-minute for my entry levels. My 30-minute and 15-minute will be my two entry levels. What zone is best, is the best area for me to start, I guess, entering my position. And then I'll monitor it based off like the 5-minute, the 15-minute. And so basically what I do is I trade with the trend. I trade with momentum. And so if, you know, we're creating higher highs, higher lows, after we create a higher high, I'll look for a pullback on the Fibonacci's and I'll start scaling in. Scale in as we hit the 50% retracement, the 61.8% retracement. I'll just scale in, expecting then a push. Excuse me. And then once we get that, once we start basing, supporting, getting that push, then I'll start putting in heavy size and looking for that momentum push. So that's basically what I do. for trading. And then when I'll share my charts in a little bit and show you exactly kind of what goes into like the charts.
Yeah, yeah, we would love to see it. So can we say that you followed fundamentals, you followed news, and also you combined this with your technical analysis?
Absolutely. So I started out mainly
Mm-hmm.
almost 100% a technical analysis trader.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's always everybody needs to understand that there's always you always got to be a student of the market. You always got to be learning and developing yourself as a trader.
Yeah.
And fundamentals, as much as people don't want to believe it, it's what drives the market, right? And so adding some fundamentals to your trading system will
Mm-hmm.
just take you to a whole nother level, because if you understand why the dollar's moving up and why the China headlines affecting the oil market, and why the Fed and interest rate hikes, and everything, like, if you understand the overall fundamentals of why everything's moving the
Mm-hmm.
way it is,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you a clearer understanding of, okay, I really shouldn't be pushing against the trend right now and trying to counter trend this trade, because the fundamentals on this move right here on the China headline of unlock or opening up due to the COVID restrictions, that's going to
Mm-hmm.
push oil, because the supply and demand issues. So I think, yes. So I'm mainly a technical analysis trader, but then I make sure I understand what the current fundamentals are in the markets, because that helps drive the price action. And fundamentals change very often. Like it cycles through. The previous war in Ukraine, COVID. Now you have the inflation. So it's
Mm-hmm.
always cycling, but you got to make sure that you keep up with current fundamentals, because it's if you'll be left behind if you don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it also helps you it also helps you to understand the market, as you said. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
I'll definitely ask about your strategy, and I would love to see some of your best winning trades. But first of all, let me ask about your journey at my Forex funds. So, how did you know about it? Were you introduced by one of your family members, or you just found it on the internet?
Yeah, so no, my family members actually trade the stock market, so that's why I'm a little
Hmm.
different from them.
Ah, okay.
But I saw a few other high level traders in the Forex market use
Mm-hmm.
my Forex funds and promote it on their Instagram. And look, so I don't know if they're just promoting it because they're influencers or whatnot. So I saw it, I looked into it, and I decided to give it a try, because look, I when we launch our website, I want to be able to have a company that I believe in, that I've personally used before and personally got
Mm-hmm.
paid out and funded. And so I made it my goal to try pretty much every funding company out there to see who was legit, who had the best rules, who had the best payout structure, who actually paid out, who had live accounts. A lot of things go into the funded program. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I had to give it a try. And so that's pretty much, how I found out about my Forex funds, and as I just what brought me there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. So, how long have you been trading with us?
I've been I've been trading with the funded account since October of
Mm.
2021 or 2022. Sorry.
Oh, okay, so it has been a year.
It's been a few months, just a few months
Oh, sorry.
of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave you the
Yeah,
wrong. I'm like getting confused on the dates. So it was like 4 months ago.
yeah. Okay, so how many active accounts do you have right now?
Um, Two.
Two, both are funded accounts?
So I have one funded and one I'm working on.
Uh-huh, yeah, great. So, okay, now I'll ask the question that everyone wonders, and actually, I know the answer of this question, and yeah, I'm just amazed. I'm pretty sure that you guys will also amazed with the answer. So, please let everybody know about the biggest payout you got from us.
Yeah, so November and December or so.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the biggest one payout was maybe 30,000 or so, but I've accumulated between November and December $100,000 dollars after profit split
Mm-hmm.
from my Forex funds, and it's completely paid out. So yeah, I mean that's as far as I only started in October, so I'm on
Mm-hmm.
a good roll here, so we'll see if we can keep it going. But yeah, $100,000 is what I got paid out in the last 2 months of the year last year.
That's really insane. Yeah. I remember the first time I had checked your accounts and I was like, what? Is that real? That is really excellent.
I know, I
Congratulations for that.
know.
Yeah. Yeah, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so now of course all of us wonder about your trading strategy. Actually, you have already mentioned about it, but we would like to see it. So would you be comfortable with showing some of your best winning trades so that we can
Sure.
understand it better?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, so I just I'm just going to give gold an example because gold is mainly like is one of the main pairs that I guess one of the main pairs that I trade because it's just the way it moves. I kind of vibe with here, and it just moves so clean and
Mm-hmm.
fast. So a couple of the main trades I've taken, I'll kind of show you what I was looking at for the market structure and why I took these trades. So hopping on to the daily chart here. So basically what I look at is what's the overall structure and the overall trend on the charts here. And you can clearly see that we are in a downtrend with, creating these lower highs in here. And so in this market here, I was mainly only looking for sells. And so once we had broken structure, broke through this trend line and actually broke through this previous swing high, that's when I knew that the sentiment in the market's changing and we're going to have to start looking for, longs in gold.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of my main, I guess my biggest trades that gave me some good payouts in the market here are, what I look for is on this break of structure, I waited for a retest of that actual break. So, we broke this high right in here. So I wanted to see us come back down and retest it. And that's what I was looking for because I started accumulating some positions as we started coming down. So if I come down to lower time frames, and that's why I said it's important to know where you're at on all of all time frames. It's called time frame correlation because then it gives you a bigger edge in the market. And so like I said, I scale in to positions. And so what I was looking at here, and so this move right here on November 10th, it was probably CPI, if I had to guess. It was definitely some type of news event. So we pushed up and we started pulling back down. And this red line here, it's more of a zone. This zone here was the retest point of that break of structure on the daily chart. And so I knew that going into the day. And so, like I said, I trade around, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. And if you know gold, COMEX open, gold, the gold market opens at 8:20 in the morning Eastern time. So I was looking at this area here, right? And so we were creating this low, created a double bottom here, and we looked like we were basing at this bottom. We were pulling back, retesting this breakout, filling some of this news event move, creating this double bottom. And so now is when I'm starting to look for positions to look for that long, because I think that we can now continue on a nice swing. And so, hopping down the 30-minute, after we had broken through these lows in here, and this is what I look for, right? If we create these lows, there's a lot of liquidity, a lot of orders sitting below this area that it's going to get taken out. That's the way the market works now, is it doesn't, wants to inflict the most pain against traders. And so once I saw that there was a big area of liquidity and we came below, grabbed all of that liquidity here and closed back above, that's when I entered a position. I actually entered, so I typically tier in, but I'm a very flexible trader because I've been trading for about 7 years. So I understand some scenarios that I've seen before that allows me to just kind of pile into a position. And so this was one of those situations that you see this double bottom, you see this grab of liquidity and it closed back above. I pretty much piled in a lot of size after it closed back above because I've noticed that around 80% of the time, after you get that liquidity grab, it has a nice run. And so I put my stops below those lows in here. And I just look for just a rally out of here. And I caught probably, I think it was around a 4-1. So I ended up getting out around like overnight. So I don't swing trade. I don't scalp. I'm an intraday trader. But as far as swing trading, I'm willing to hold trades overnight into my next morning session, but then I'll cut the trade. And so I ended up getting out the next morning, and it ended up being right around a 3.5 to 1 risk reward on that one. So that ended up working out really well. And that was me like testing the waters, because I would have looked for more, but I was testing the waters as far as, okay, are we going to rally from this level, and are buyers actually going to come into play here? And so kind of going along that trend here is, I caught some of the buys up here, but another position I was looking at, and I kind of want to just show this because it's showing that you're being flexible as a trader. And so, yes, I caught longs all in here that made me some decent money. But what I want to show you now is you can't just look for buys every day because we are bullish, or else some days you're just going to miss out on some good opportunities. So what I was looking at is you got to understand where some very important pivot points and levels are on the chart. And if you were, I traded gold back last summer, and I was doing really well with it. And I noticed that this 1810, 1811 price point here, it was a heavy rejection area. You can see on the chart, it's a strong pivot point, strong rejection area. And that's kind of what I was looking at is, on December 13th, we had a nice run through these highs here, left liquidity wick. And so I was looking for a potential short to see, okay, maybe we're going to have a pullback because now we're running into some resistance on the daily, and I can see a nice sell-off here. If you look at the 4 hour, because that's why it's important to look at all time frames, because they tell the same story, but some kind of show it a little better. And the 4 hour had run these highs, left a big wick, and closed back below. And that's something I talk about a lot is what are candlesticks? What are they telling you? And this is telling me that buyers are getting exhausted here. Sellers are coming into play, and we're at a strong resistance point on the daily. So, I'm going to start accumulating, looking for sells to see, okay, well, I'm not looking for a swing sell because obviously we're still bullish overall on the daily chart. But for the day, I'll look for sells because it's not going to go up every day. So I think I can get a nice sell off. And so I would hop down the lower time frame. I would hop down the hour, the 30-minute, and I would start seeing, okay, it's confirming, right? You had this big blow off top. It pulled back, and now we're consolidating right below this previous high here. And so what I started doing is, we were kind of coming into the morning with low volume. This December 13th, I know was CPI because I traded it. Actually, I made a lot of money on this CPI move. But then the next day I was like, okay, typically it retraces the news event. It goes back to what we call the scene of the crime, which is, right around here. But what I had done is I knew there was low volume in the morning because we were kind of just sitting here in this consolidation zone. So I started accumulating positions. I knew we weren't going to get a flush right away. So I took a short as we were sitting right in this area here, took another short as we were rejecting the highs in here. And then I took another short as we came back up and retested. And so I was in 3 positions. I finally got in full size. And as I saw, we started confirming this big rejection wick. I got another position here, and we just kind of started following through and retracing this move. And I caught this was about a 5-to-1, over a 5-to-1 risk reward. So that was a nice move. So, basically it's just finding the important levels on the higher time frames, understanding, market structure, right? Because I understood, what are we running bullish? Are we running bearish? Where do I think that we could run to? And it was clear that, we're going to continue a long run here because we had broken structure. We broke through this then resistance point, and then we started just unleashing here. And what I talk about a lot is understanding relationship trades. Because if you understand how gold moves off the dollar, off of the U.S. rates, look at the U.S. rates. The U.S. rates have been falling off. That was back in December. The U.S. rates were falling off, and so was the Dixie. If you look at the Dixie back in December, it was the Dixie was filtering down as well. So you understanding relationship trades, understanding where you are in the market as far as daily levels, and then kind of just flowing with the trend, flowing with higher highs, higher lows, keeping an eye on, where those exhaustion wicks are. This exhaustion wick on the 4 hour was on the higher time frame, rejecting, buyers are getting exhausted there. They can't push it through. There's a lid. So you can expect sellers to come into play and push it down. But overall, you got to understand, don't hold this and don't get greedy because it's overall a buyer's market. It's just a quick counter trend. But then if
Mm-hmm.
you understand, you follow the lows and you kind of draw your trend line here. There were so many buying opportunities. I know I bought in here,
Mm-hmm.
looking for a rally in here, because all you do is find where the buyers come into play and look how strong
Yeah.
this trend
Mm-hmm.
line is, buy off of it, and it goes. So people like to make trading complicated, but it's really just following market structure and understanding, the psychology of candlesticks, and it
Mm-hmm.
tells you a whole story on every time frame. But that's
Mm-hmm.
basically it. And that's, those are some of the top trades I took, and
Mm-hmm.
shows you the
Mm-hmm.
flexibility of the trader.
Mm. Thank you very much for sharing your strategy in a very detailed way. Well, actually, I have a question. You said that
Sure.
during CPI you made huge profits, right?
Yes. Yeah, I made
Okay.
a lot of money.
So you know that at MyForexFunds you trade live market conditions, and during big news events you can have huge slippage. So how did you manage your risk?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's a good question. It's tough because it's definitely something to
Mhm.
that you should be cautious about. And so I'll share my screen again,
Yeah.
just because it might be easier if I show kind of what my thought process is on it. And
Hmm.
so I believe I made around 38,000 on just the CPI trade, and I'll
Hmm.
show you. It was back on the 13th of December. Here it is. So here's the way I kind of look at it: is I position myself before the news event. I don't do buy stops and sell stops, because it's just it, like you said, it moves so fast that it just slips
Hmm.
your buy stop and sell stop, and it just doesn't work that way.
Hmm.
And so basically what I do is I find a bias ahead of the time. So I do a lot of research fundamentally, as far as what do I think the numbers, what are the numbers expected to come out as? How do I think consumers will take the numbers? Do I think it'll be risk on, risk off?
Hmm.
And so basically, back when I was looking at it back on the 13th, right here, I was noticing that we were in a clear uptrend, right? I mean, we were creating all these higher highs, and
Hmm.
so what I had noticed was this the bottom. I guess we were creating these higher lows, heading into the CPI print, and typically what happens is ahead of CPI prints, usually it moves sideways, completely flat, doesn't have much volume ahead of it, and it's
Hmm.
just you don't really know which way it's going to go. And so I trade news events differently based off of what the market's doing ahead of time. So if the market is, as and you can tell, so 830 is when it came out, and 830 is this, very, big candle right here.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I noticed that we were getting some volatility to the upside heading into it, right? We were creating these higher lows. We were actually, pushing pretty nice, bullish into it. And so, I don't trade full size during news events, clearly, because, it could, one move could just wipe your account and blow it.
Hmm.
I sized down a lot, at least half, sometimes a little less, but this one was around half, because I was pretty confident in this one, as far as, because I've traded news events a lot and know how to trade them. And so as I noticed before 830 that we were pushing up. And so I actually positioned myself right in here
Hmm.
around 6:37 in the morning Eastern time, to see if I can get a little bit of a buffer heading into the news event, because we were actually already pushing bullish. And
Hmm.
so come 830, price action was here. I was actually already sitting up like right around 30 pips. So
Hmm.
I was very comfortable, because then I put my stop loss right below my entry point. And if I got slipped, I figured maybe
Hmm.
I'll lose 1%, what I was willing to
Hmm.
risk
Hmm.
anyway.
Hmm.
And then it ended up actually, shooting up as expected, because that's where momentum was heading into the market. And we caught this news event, this nice big move. And so, but it's different, right? Because like I mentioned, if you have a news event that's consolidating sideways
Hmm.
ahead of the numbers, I don't position myself ahead of the event. What I do is I wait for the initial move. What it's doing is just grabbing a lot of liquidity, grabbing a lot of orders, and then typically the first move is not the direction it goes. It's typically just the algo driven move, where algos move it. It grabs all of the orders, and then it reverses. So I kind of wait for things to settle down a little bit, wait for retracement. Then I kind of go with, okay, this is where the market wants to take the move. We'll kind of vibe with it. So
Hmm.
I usually wait about 15 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes after the news event to then enter if it's consolidating. But if we're
Hmm.
actually already showing some momentum in one direction ahead of it, like you're
Mm-hmm.
showing some bullish momentum, then I'll start positioning myself before, because I think then you
Mm-hmm.
can get that's where you get the big move. And it ended up working out really well. So
Mm-hmm. So you don't always trade news, but when you feel confident and comfortable, you just execute your
yeah,
trades.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good to, you're not going to trade every news event, because not every
Mm-hmm.
news event is going to have the same impact.
Mm-hmm.
Not every news event is going to have, people, it might be a red folder, it might not move, because right now
Mm-hmm.
people don't care about that. People care about inflation or something, right? So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's case by case basis. If I feel like I have a good edge in the news
Mm-hmm.
event today, and I feel like I could see the market moving in one direction, I'll take it. If it's not, then I don't force any trades on news events, because it
Mm-hmm.
could really hurt your account.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just depends on what I'm feeling that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much for your explanation.
Yeah, no problem.
So, how long did it take you to find a strategy which makes you profitable?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that's the problem in this, like,
Mm-hmm.
in I guess the industry is everybody has more or less the same path, right? You join trading,
Mm-hmm.
you want the money, you kind of hop around from strategy to strategy, trying to figure out what works for you. I mean, it's not bad, right? It's trial and error. But that's why I think it's important to find a mentor, because the mentor can shorten your learning curve by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they can kind of guide you in the right direction instead of doing what I did. Yeah, so I started actually in the stock market for 2 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I just realized it wasn't for me. I wasn't doing too well. A buddy introduced me to Forex, and I was like, never heard of it, but let me look at it. And I vibed with it a lot more, because it's a 24-hour market, so it's a continuous flow of market structure. It didn't open and close. It made a lot more sense to me. So
Mm-hmm.
did Forex, and I bought almost every single course out there. I went through every course. I did one strategy, realized it wasn't working after a month, which is
Mm-hmm.
not a good idea. Switched to another strategy, wasn't
Uh-huh.
working for a month. So it took
So
me
it was
about
like trial and error.
it was definitely trial and error, but I wasn't, my problem was I wasn't giving the strategy enough time to figure out if it actually works or not. Like,
Mm-hmm.
1 month is not enough data to
Mm-hmm.
know if it's going to work. People think it's going to work, right away. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the case. So basically what I decided was, you have to figure out what trading strategy, what fits your personality. Are you,
Mm-hmm.
a patient trader? I mean, are you a patient person in life? Because what your characteristics are in life is what's
Mm-hmm.
going to reflect on the charts. And
Mm-hmm.
so you got to do some reflection. Are you a patient trader, in person, in life, aside
Mm-hmm.
from trading? Great.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe you're a swing trader. If you know you're not a
Mm-hmm.
patient trader, you might be a scalper, and you might be taking 5, 10, 20-minute trades, because
Mm-hmm.
you can't sit in trades that long. You can't
Yeah.
hold trades
Mm-hmm.
overnight. So you got to first understand who you are as a person, do some self-reflection,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
it's really just trial and error, right? Figuring out. And that's why that's why I think you need a mentorship, because they can kind of help you with that process. But if you don't do a mentorship, it's going to be a lot of trial and error. It's going to take you a lot longer,
Mm-hmm.
because you got to then test the waters. Okay, is this strategy, test strategies that work with your personality, but you also got to see if they work in general, right? I mean, so see what the win rate is. You got to just kind of test out, different systems, see what other people are doing. It was very tough. It's going to take a long time for you to figure out and get consistent, if you don't find a mentor or
Mm-hmm.
anything to kind of get you on the right path, because basically you're kind of shooting from the hip. And I created a video about this on my YouTube channel, and it's just I talk about the same thing. Is like, you find a mentor, trust me, it's gonna help a lot finding your strategy, because you find someone who's walked in the same shoes that you want to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's just, for me, it was just a lot of trial and error, and that's why it took me. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
took me like 2-3 years to
Mm-hmm.
really get consistent. Because I didn't have a mentor. I just did trial by fire. I did just tried everything. Finally figured out what I felt, what I vibed with, what I felt that worked for me, and then I just, I went with it. Now it's not going to work right away, but don't give up on the system because it's not working right away. You got to really just kind of, tweak it and work with it,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually it'll work. But yeah, it's just a lot of
Mm-hmm.
trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Now you are trying to help people with your van trading, right?
Yeah, that's the thing,
Mm-hmm.
is because I've been in the market 7 years, and I've
Mm-hmm.
been through the trial and error path, and I know it's taxing, and that's why only 5% of people are successful in trading, because what I say is people come into the markets thinking that, okay, I want to make quick, easy money. And so that's why, people have no problem spending a lot of money on a 4-year college degree and don't question it, but they won't give 4 years to learn trading and really kind of do something that could change their life forever. Right. And so you got to understand that, yeah, it's going to be a process, but your learning curve could be cut easily in half if you get a mentor, because I've been through all of your shoes. I've done everything. I actually lost probably $100,000 before I actually got consistent. I've lost a lot of money. I blew a lot of accounts. And so I know what it takes to avoid most of that, and to, I guess, not right away, but very quickly figure out what works for you and how to get on the right path to success, because it's a tough and lonely game out there. And that's why it's not, that's why it's only 5% of people succeed, because they can't deal with it.
So do you have any piece of advice for new traders before we leave off?
Yeah. So it's tough, because I actually, I've been a very good trader for a long time now. And believe it or not, you can be a really good trader, but taking challenges, it's a whole different level of trading, because you have to, you obviously have rules for the companies to protect themselves. You have certain risk management rules, certain news rules, certain different things. And when you go from trading a live account to then trading a challenge account, and you're trying to chase the money and pass the challenge so they can go get funded, it's a whole process mentally that's taxing. And so what I tell people is, if you're going for a funded account, take it slow, right? So basically, what I would suggest is, just start out getting your feet wet. So once you actually pass the challenge, like I've probably failed 10 challenges before I finally started getting traction and getting funded and stuff. But I realized that I was going too heavy, too fast. And once I took a step back, get your feet wet, start with half position size, get a cushion. And then once you have some momentum and you're like, you're mentally stable and you're not emotionally driven through the profits, then you can go full size and have at it and start building some profits there. But a lot of people just want the money fast and think that just because they can have a bigger account, they're going to make a lot more money. They're going to make money. It's not the case, because they're driven by the profits. So take it out slow. Don't rush things. Like I said, just see it as a 4-year degree and a process. And you'll eventually make it. Like, you're not going to get funded your first challenge. I can tell you right now, you're just not going to be, because it's tough. You have to take a first couple attempts to understand how to successfully trade a challenge. So maybe start on a smaller account so you're not wasting, too much money. And then when you're actually getting traction, then you can get $100,000, $200,000 account. And then you can go for the big bucks, but start small and then get the hang of how to trade a challenge account.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Thank you very much for this super efficient interview. I really enjoyed. I hope you also did.
Yeah. Oh, I had a blast. Like I said, any value I can bring out to the community, it's just I'm here for it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So what is your YouTube channel? The name of your YouTube channel?
Vant Trading. It's VANT Trading.
I'm pretty sure that everyone will want to check out after watching this interview.
Yeah, please. Come on and hop on the live streams with me. I'd love to have you there. And again, I'm very transparent. If you have any questions on the live streams, put them in the chat.
I'll also join. Yeah.
Great. I hope to see you there.
Yeah, I'll see you there. So thank you very much again, and I'll see you there again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. We really enjoyed during the interview. If you also did, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. If you are one of our funded traders and would like to do an interview with us, please get in touch with our support team so that we can organize your interview too. We would love to hear your story. Thank you again, and happy trading!